Let me tell you something wild, the kind of story you'd swear came out of a Hollywood writer's room. Except it happened for real, late one night. In the empty corridors of a university nobody outside the math world would ever have heard of if it weren't for what happened next. So picture this. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m. when Denise Williams, mopping floors in the deserted mathematics building at Preston University, pushed her cart past classroom 401, just as, on the other side of that door, 5 of the world's top mathematicians were basically falling apart. That's not me being dramatic. They'd been at it for 14 hours straight, running on cold coffee and nerves, and nobody was any closer to cracking the Caldwell equation, which had been driving them half-mad for months. You could almost feel the pressure dripping off the walls. The department's entire future hung on solving a puzzle that had stumped every brainiac on the planet. Inside, Professor James Bennett sat with his head in his hands, the whiteboard behind him filled with a mess of equations that would make your eyes cross. He had a Harvard PhD, stacks of published papers, but at 32, he felt like a kid flunking out of basic algebra all over again. "Maybe we should call a night," Robert Shun, the senior guy, finally said, and you could see the relief in everyone's faces except James, who just muttered, "Tomorrow's the deadline for the progress report. If we got nothing, the board kills our funding, gives it all to engineering, and we're done." So yeah, the stakes? Huge. People's jobs, students' futures, dreams, all on the line because of one nasty equation. As they finally shuffled out none of them, even noticing the woman in blue mopping outside Denise, started her shift in room 401. She worked her way through the trash, the empty pizza boxes, and the smell of desperate mathematicians, but she kept glancing up at that whiteboard. Now here's the kicker. Denise, the invisible cleaning lady, was maybe the most brilliant mathematical mind in the building, and nobody had a clue. Raised in a rough neighborhood, she'd taught herself calculus from library books while the other kids were out playing. No tutors, no special programs, just a sharp mind and a need to escape. By high school, she was sneaking college-level math textbooks out of the library, but with her mom working 3 jobs and no money for college, Denise graduated, found a janitorial job at Preston, and figured that was that. Except, working nights at a university meant access to whiteboards, lecture notes, and all the math she could soak up while nobody noticed her cleaning in the background. So that night, when she paused in front of the Caldwell equation, something clicked. She saw what the others had missed. The answer wasn't buried in some impossibly complex formula. It was right there, simple as daylight if you looked at it sideways. Denise grabbed a piece of chalk and, in 5 minutes flat, did what the world's best couldn't manage in 3 months. She solved the Caldwell equation, her neat handwriting hiding in the bottom corner of the board. For a second, she nearly wiped it off, afraid of what people would think if they found out who'd done it. But then she remembered the faces of the stressed-out professors and all the people counting on that department. She left it, finished her shift, and headed home, the weight of what she'd done starting to settle in. Next morning, James Bennett rolled into work early, already bracing for the worst. He walked into 401, saw that new sequence of numbers and symbols, and just froze, his coffee cup hitting the floor as he stared at a solution so beautiful, so obvious. It was almost insulting. He snapped pictures, double-checked the math, and realized not only was it right, it was genius. The team rushed in, verified the work, and the buzz started. How had this happened? Security footage quickly revealed the truth. The cleaning lady had done it, right there in the middle of the night, solving a problem nobody else could. James felt a surge of excitement, curiosity, and something deeper needed to meet her. He found her in a rundown apartment across town, surrounded by stacks of math books. Denise tried to brush it off. Wasn't that complicated once you saw the pattern, but James wasn't having it. He saw brilliance, raw and unpolished, and begged her to let the university know it was her. Denise was terrified. She didn't want the spotlight. She didn't trust that the world would believe her, and deep down, she was tired of being overlooked, afraid that her background would matter more than her ability. But James promised to stand by her, to make sure she got the recognition she deserved, and finally she agreed. In a few hours, he'd present her work to the university board. That meeting? It changed everything. The board was floored not just by the solution, but by the fact that it came from someone outside the traditional system. Scholarships, research opportunities, even a press conference followed. But, of course, not everyone was thrilled. Dr. Stone, the department head, grilled her, suspicious that someone so unqualified could be this good. Denise shut him up the only way she knew how, be solving another research-level problem, right in front of his eyes. After that, even the skeptics couldn't deny her talent. The press conference brought its own set of challenges. Reporters questioned her background, her legitimacy, whether she deserved a seat at the table. Denise didn't flinch. She spoke the truth: how intelligence doesn't care about your diploma, how genius can come from anywhere, and how her experience as an outsider made her contributions more important, not less. She proved herself again and again, until the applause was real and the doubters faded into the background. 6 months later, Denise was no longer the cleaning lady. She'd become a graduate student, published researcher, and maybe most important, an inspiration to students who'd never seen themselves reflected in academia. She and James, who'd started as her champion, became partners in both research and life, their relationship growing stronger with every challenge. When MIT offered her a doctoral fellowship, Denise didn't just accept, she negotiated for James to come too, proving that sometimes love and ambition don't have to be competing equations, but can be solved together. 1 year on, Denise stood at the front of her own classroom at MIT, teaching number theory to a new generation. She'd become an advocate for students from all backgrounds, set up a foundation for kids like her, and was about to have a mathematics building named in her honor. And on a crisp autumn afternoon, surrounded by friends and former doubters alike, James got down on one knee and proposed, asking her to be his partner in life and in research forever. She said yes, of course, and in that moment, Denise Williams, once invisible, stood at the center of her own incredible story. So, let me ask you, what do you think makes someone belong in the halls of genius? The right pedigree, or the courage to solve the unsolvable, no matter where you start? Have we all been looking in the wrong places for greatness? I'd love to hear your thoughts below, because sometimes the most powerful breakthroughs come from the voices nobody bothered to hear until now.